You are now tuning in to Lex and RDDC broadcast station, serving up on the double doses for us all.
Welcome back to the Real Double Dose channel. This is your host, Lex, coming to you straight from the heart where the talk is real and the vibe is always live. Like I like to say, for any show request, feedback, or anything under the sun, as you can think of and you have been, reach out to us at Real Double Dose channel at yandex.com. That's YANDEX.com. And let's not forget what it says. And as well as checking out the Real Double Dose channel.blogspot.com, where you can find insights of our guest experts and interviews and so much more, and just some goodies in between. Angela will be updating that with even more stuff to put out there as well in the About Me section at the bottom of the Blogspot with different links. And you can also reach out, as you have been, and some of you who are new, to the free PDF guides we have, just to kind of get yourself a little bit more straightened out and ready to go. As well as make sure you sign up for those travel and gift card giveaways. And we want to say thanks to Shelby for creating her gift card giveaway and being a part of that and her new trip coming up to Jamaica. So we're excited for that. So all you and all of those out there, remember, you can check out realdoubledosechannel.com, which will have the apparel store and our YouTube channel that is going to be loaded up really nice. I know it's been a long time coming, but we have that going on. So for TuneIn, Stitcher Radio, Spreaker.com, Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, as well as going on to Pandora's Box, we call it, Google Cast, Deezer, Stitcher, and so many links that will be provided on the SoundCloud, as well as the Blogspot and different other links out there. You can find us. You know what it is. So without further ado, we have our wonderful, amazing, and emotions doctor, I like to call him, Dr. Ed Daube. So Dr. Daube, okay, Ph.D., don't forget that, is a psychologist and best-selling author. While he is now the emotions doctor, okay, don't forget that. Growing up, he was the emotions avoider because in his family of origin, emotions were rarely expressed and open, which we can all kind of, get that in sync for. So while he learned in graduate school to clinically deal with the emotions of others, he was forced to explore his own emotions while auditing a drug treatment group during his training as a psychology intern. So during his career as a clinical psychologist with the California Department of Corrections Juvenile Division, he developed the emotions as tools and a model in order to efficiently and effectively address issues related to emotions as a therapist with adolescent females, all with multiple abuse histories and different things going on with that. And as a trainer with emotionally jaded correctional staff, and he is on his journey to finally help all those out there who want to know more about #theemotionsdoctor.com. So, Dr. Daube, and I got a chance to have some cool one-on-one time with Dr. Daube. I want to rub that in a little bit. How are you How are you feeling, Dr. Daube? Thank you for coming on here with us.
I am feeling great, Lex. Thanks for having me, and I'm looking forward to the show.
Yeah, I had to steal him a little bit. So I know we have pre-entry questions, and for all those who are out there who are waiting and chomping at the bit for him, just remember we have to give everyone a chance to kind of get Dr. Daube in, just his nesting area right now. So we have those, and Tony's going to pass us over to me, but without that, we're going to learn more about Dr. Daube's intro of life. So can you give us some more of your goodies of emotions and life journeys to where you are now and some of that good stuff?
Well, and I thank you for that great introduction. It's really interesting how I came upon the emotions as tools model. As you said, in my family of origin, we didn't deal well with the emotions. And when my mom died, my dad, whose generation avoided emotions, was crying, and he apologized to me for crying. And it was very strange to me. I was in graduate school at the time, and I understood what was going on, but dealing with the whole issue with emotions was something that I wasn't good at. And I went to the Henry Olaf House, which you mentioned, and it was a group for treating alcoholics. And I had asked the head of the program if I could sit in on his groups, and he told me no. And I said, well, why not? They said, well, because I don't want you sitting in, but you can be there as a participant observer. And I said, okay, piece of cake. I'm a graduate student, and I don't have alcohol problems or drugs problems. It's no problem.
Yeah.
It took these guys 6 months, Lex, 6 months to finally get through to me. And they called me a non-drinking alcoholic.
Wow.
Because they said, we hide our emotions through alcohol. You hide your emotions by getting involved in your books. It was life-changing for me.
Wow.
Because I never thought of that.
That just cracked my mind open. I'm sorry. Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah, they called me a non-drinking alcoholic, and they were absolutely right.
Whoa.
So that got me started in terms of looking at emotions, and I got better at it, but I still wasn't real good at it until I took my first job. And my first and only job was working with the California Department of Corrections Juvenile Division. We called it the Youth Authority at the time. And I was on a unit with young women who had committed serious crimes in California, including several who had killed their children. And I had no training whatsoever in how to deal with these young women. I was a graduate student. I was male. I was a young male at the time, about 29, and I just had no way to do it. So I had to figure out how I could help them understand what emotions were, and that's when I developed the emotions as tools model. I mean, they could understand tools. They didn't have cell phones back then, but they could understand what a sewing machine was, and they could understand what a TV was and a TV remote, and these are just tools.
Wow.
And then I was put in a training situation where I had to train jaded correctional staff who didn't want anything to do with emotions because they were messy and you couldn't deal with them. So the emotions as tools model worked there as well, because they knew they had to learn how to deal with their nightsticks, and they had to learn how to deal with their handcuffs. Those are tools.
Yeah.
And so I developed the emotions as tools models to explain to not only the young women but the staff that emotions were not something that you had to avoid, which most of us do now. And that's when I retired, I wrote the Emotions as Tools book, which was my first book, to explain to other people how to deal with emotions, because in our society, it's just not covered. There isn't a place in school where we say, okay, class, this is what emotions are, and this is how we deal with them. So going forward, this is what you need to do. No, what happens in our society is we're taught, no, you shouldn't be angry, or no, you shouldn't cry.
Yeah.
And so I needed a way to explain that emotions are just tools, that you need to learn what they are, what they do for you, and how you can master them so that they work for you.
Wow. I'm getting some really good, I'm taking notes. I'm getting my 411. I hope all you out there who are getting Dr. Daube's wake up with not emotional issues, because I'm getting as much as I can. I tell people my brain is absorbing this really, really deep. Man, that's true. And at the same time, it's you not knowing how to basically get into the situation of things. I mean, that's heavy though. Like I was saying before we got on the show, it's definitely super heavy. And I was looking at, I don't know why, maybe it's a little thing, but I'm looking at these crime documentaries, different things lately a lot. And I was telling a lot of people, and people who know my journey, I mean, it probably isn't reaching over. I deal with a lot of female, more the female side issues on an outer plane when they're out here. I'm getting into that delve even more with that, because I can definitely get down a whole life path to where I've kind of lived maybe 100 different people's lives. And typically you hear from one or two people. I mean, I can literally sit down and give about 50 descriptions of 50 people's lives. And it gets to the point where these, the men having such a clammed up emotion, they have such I'm not saying women, some of them have their guard up too, but the gentlemen that I get a chance to speak to behind those doors as well, those walls that have, the locked up mechanism to where they almost feel like if they even let out a moment of emotions, or even just gonna snap. And the only thing that they say, I'm gonna keep it bottled up, because if I let it out, I'm gonna hurt somebody. So I want to ask, why do people feel as though they're going to just completely explode in their emotions once they even let out a little bit of an emotion? Why do they feel anger is going to be the quickest wave that hits them if they open up? That feeling.
Okay, let me, and I'll answer your question, but before I get into that, let me explain the emotional cycle and how emotions work. Is that okay?
Perfect. Yeah, tell me more.
Okay, here's what happens. We all are born with 6 primary emotions. If you have kids, you see it develop in your kids very early on. And those are mad, sad, glad, fear, disgust, and surprise. And so constantly now, and those emotions, by the way, most of them are threat detectors. And when we lived in caves, they protected us, because all the threats that we came in contact with were going to kill us. They were physical threats. Today, most of our threats are psychological. So, and each emotion has a message. So what happens is, you see a threat, you perceive this subconsciously, it works automatically, because you're constantly doing it, we all are. So you perceive a threat, and a very fast message goes to the emotional part of your brain. It's called the amygdala. And that sets up your body for fight or flight. So that's unconscious. So the message of anger is that you perceive a threat that you are stronger than, and that you can eliminate if you throw enough power at it. So now anger prepares you for battle.
Wow.
At the same time, a slower message goes to the thinking part of your brain so that you now have the ability to think about what's going on, to assess it, and to decide how real the threat is. So let's take a look at anger. Anger, as I say, the message is I perceive a threat up there that I can eliminate if I throw enough force at it. When you perceive a threat, regardless of what it is, if you think that you can get rid of it, then you get angry. And in our society, men are allowed to get angry. Women are not, by the way. And you may find this very interesting. A few years ago, I went on LinkedIn to a women's forum, and I asked the question. I said, look, I'm a man. I'm just asking a question here. What happens to you when you express anger? I got over 2,000 responses, Lex, and what they said to me was, I as a woman can't express anger because when I do, I get labeled. I get called all kinds of names. I get demeaned, all of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, right. So if women understand, and I'll get to men in a second, if women understand that anger tells them there's a threat, then instead of expressing it, these are called display rules, instead of being able to express it directly, you need to use your anger and the energy it gives you to figure out a way to go around the threat and to eliminate the threat, but do it indirectly. That way, you as a woman still use your anger. It's still a tool. It's still telling you there's a threat, and you're using that information and that energy to eliminate the threat. Mm-hmm. Now, men tend to use anger as what's called a secondary emotion. Men tend to use anger to cover over feelings like anxiety, like hurt, like inadequacy, and men don't want to deal with those, so what they do is they deal with their anger. And men say, okay, I can get angry because anger is empowering, but their anger is often inappropriate. The problem with that is that most people, and there's a myth that anger is always a secondary emotion, and it's not. Anger is a primary emotion. It's there, and it's there for a reason.
Wow.
The other challenge with anger is because it's so empowering, what sometimes happens is men will do something inappropriate, like they'll beat up their wives or their spouses, or they'll do something else is equally stupid, and they blame their anger. They say, well, if I hadn't been angry, I wouldn't have done such and such. Well, that's true, but it's not the anger that made you do it. It's your decision to act on your anger in this particular way that led you to do what you did. Yeah. It's your responsibility because it's your behavior.
Oh, preach again, say. It is about the decision. Yes. And I was making that point too, Dr. Daube, where I think it was the other day. A lot of people, they want me to transition into how their humanitarianism is. And I tell them I'm a nurturer. But when I get into the part of what's naturally given to them and what's me, I misconstrue it with always trying to make an excuse for people. And that's what I had dealing with. It was always like, well, I got angry and this is what happened because I was angry. It was the anger's fault, not mine. If I hadn't been angry, I wouldn't have done such and such. And I'm like, okay, so if I go throw a cream pie in your face, it was the reflex of anger. No, you did it, Lex. You did it. I'm like, well, you just told me that it was anger's fault. So that makes perfect sense. All that to get to what I was saying, that makes perfect sense, yeah.
But there's two parts to that, Lex. The first is that it's true. If you hadn't been angry, you would not have done it.
Yeah.
That's true.
Absolutely.
But the leap that they make from that is that the anger caused them to do it, and that's not true.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when you are angry, you always have a choice. The best way to look at that is look at your smoke detector in your house. You're having dinner, and the smoke detector goes off, right? Now, the smoke detector says there's a fire somewhere, but you don't automatically call the fire department. No, what do? You look around, you see, and you notice the toast is burning. So the smoke detector tells you that there's something that needs your attention, and then you decide how you're going to use that information. It's the same way with your emotions as tools. Your emotions as tools, anxiety, for example, is a future-based emotion, the message of which is there may be a threat out there. Mm-hmm. Not that there is, but there may be. So once you experience the emotion, now it's up to you to use your brain to say, wait a minute, how real is the threat? What do I need to do? Yeah. Maybe I don't need to do anything.
That's true.
Or maybe I need to take some actions to, as my students say, I get anxious about tests. Well, then study for the test.
Absolutely.
If you're angry, maybe you're angry because somebody looked at you funny, and they weren't even looking at you. They were looking past you. Or they said something that you thought was a threat. Maybe they didn't mean anything by it.
Or maybe we were kind of searching for a problem, too, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So once you experience the emotion, use it as a tool strategically deploy it. What I mean by that is to use that energy and apply it where it needs to be applied to get the job done. If the job is to eliminate a threat that's a real threat, then use all the energy you have. If somebody's about to attack you, then use all that energy to beat the holy jeepers out of them.
All that guacamole over there.
Exactly. But if the threat is that just somebody said something that you found offensive, then you can question them. Well, hey, what do you mean by that? Oh, well, I really didn't mean anything by it. I didn't realize that's how I was coming across.
Yeah.
Now you've used your anger as a strategic tool to give you direction on what you need to do, and you've chosen a way that doesn't hurt you and doesn't hurt them and solves the problem. Does that make sense?
Oh, man, that's beautiful. And I like the smoke detector, too. That breaks things down so extra even keel because, you said you don't just automatically jump up and start calling, oh, there's a fire in the house. You try to seek out where the smoke's coming from or what the alert's coming from. Is it a false alarm?
Exactly.
Or you're just, okay, well, let me see if the fire is big enough to need help with on some scales. Because if it's just something that's on the stove, you could possibly put it out. But if it's something to where half of your living room's burning down, hey, fire department, okay, call the extinguisher. Yeah. That's what the feeling of having that. It helps people get the redirection of what they're trying to not. Because I see for myself and RDC family that you guys have. I know you're going to give me your opinion no matter what, but I'm just going to say that I've noticed myself personally, in my factual opinion, that different ones and different people, even myself sometimes, I didn't want to deal with the point of actually knowing I had to deal with something, and I allowed myself to be stuck in a zone. And I can't say all the way, but to a good percentage where I wanted to. And I remember when I had my spiritual transition, or my spiritual death is pretty much what it was in California, and the rebirth 3 days later, it was kind of different because I remember when I was like sitting there still trying to sift through this new being that I am. Everything tasted, smelled, looked different. Everything was just completely different. Like I had just taken over a whole new body, a whole new spirit in his mind. And my mom had told me something where I was like, yeah, well, I don't know. I was kind of self-loathing, like wallowing in nothing. And she goes, look, snap out of it, Lex. Like you are choosing at this point to be where you want to be emotionally. I was like, okay, well, I know this is the truth. I told myself inside, I know I have to assess this and deal with it, and I should. But I'm going to just go over here and just whine about it a little bit more, or whatever people's words want to put on it. Sometimes we just rather, what do you call that? Fear of the unknown. Fear of the unknown versus the knowns. I knew how to deal with those emotions unwillingly, and I knew how to deal with them in a not straightforward path. But I was still like, oh well, the unknown of it is, and I would put that quote better unknown as a fear factor. Yeah. So.
Let me explain something that's a misunderstanding. There's a difference between fear and anxiety.
Yeah.
Fear, and when somebody says, I'm afraid of the unknown, what they're really saying is they're nervous or anxious about it.
Uh-huh.
Fear is the feeling that you get when you're inside of a parking structure and you're by yourself and it's at night and you hear noise. The message of fear is there's a threat out there and it will kill me.
Yeah.
The message of anxiety is there may be a threat. It's a future-based emotion. Fear is a present here and now emotion. There's a real threat and I need to be on guard about it.
Yeah, like the false evidence appearing real. That would go more towards anxiety.
Yeah,
I would think, because I'm like, yeah, like you said, if it's anxiety, it's something we're fearing the future of something happening versus a fear on point for the threat. Or maybe double-bladed there,
No, you're right. And see, if you feel fear, get out of the situation and assess it later. But anxiety is different because there's two parts to anxiety. There's anxiety as what's called eustress, E-U-S-T-R-E-S-S, and that's where you use the anxiety as a motivator to take action, like my students preparing for the test. Or if I'm anxious about an upcoming interview, then I want to prepare for the interview. What happens with people with anxiety is they experience anxiety as distress, D-I-S-S-T-R-E-S-S. And that then, what it does is they just want to go and sit in the couch and suck their thumb. It totally discombobulates them. They can't move. But it's the same emotion. It just depends on how you use the information that it's giving you. Yeah. If you understand that anxiety is a future-based emotion and what the message is, you now can use it as a tool and the energy it gives you to take effective action. That's how you strategically deploy anxiety.
Touché. Everyone, I got my pen. We're writing that down. And I hope they can. And don't worry for all those out there who haven't got a pen, or if you're driving, if you're at work, wherever you might be, remember there is going to be, with Angel, Tony. Oh my God. Don't kill me, Tony. You see, that's an emotion you got to deal with there. But at the same time, he'll be having that downloaded version come out with the schedule, what's happening. So don't worry. So if someone shares and says, hey, live stream was awesome today, don't start getting any emotional hate mail, okay? I'm just saying, I got to tease and prod them a little bit on there. But at the same time, we have a couple questions for you, Dr. Daube. And so far that I've gotten from Tony, I just decided to take these first because everyone knows they could either email us with some of those, or we could forward them over, or we could have part 2 series. Okay. So we have, and this is from, let me look at this little pad here. He sent it to me. Okay, this is from Samuel. Very nice name, Samuel. Thank you for tuning in with us on our live. This is Samuel from Tennessee. Okay, so he goes, Dr. Daube, how do I handle an emotional atmosphere with family and they don't want to check their emotions? Oh, touche. Okay.
That's a really good question, Samuel. And while I haven't covered this in my 2 books because I'm anticipating writing a third, I will give it to you here. I call it the basic relationship rule, and it goes like this. And I'll say it slowly so you can get it. Everybody in every situation does the best they can given their model of the world and their skill sets. Let me repeat that again. Everybody in every situation does the best they can given their model of the world, that is how they see what's going on, and their ability to deal with what's going on, their skill sets. Oh. Now, if you understand that, then that enables you with your family to do 2 things. First of all, you won't get upset by what they're doing. You'll understand it, because this is the best they can do. Not the best possible, by the way, but the best they can do. So if this is the best they can do in the situation, then are they not understanding what's going on, or are they just not capable of dealing with it? Now, if you understand that, then we go into the emotions as tools model. Whatever emotion they're expressing tells you how they perceive what's going on. That's their model of the world. If they're expressing anger, then what they're perceiving you and what you're doing or something else as a threat. If they're nervous about something, then there's a future threat. So that's how you look at it. So now you understand that this is the best they can do in that situation. You understand what they're feeling because they're showing you with their emotions, and then you can choose how you want to intervene or what you want to do. If there's something you can do, because I don't know what emotions they're expressing that you're concerned about, it wasn't in your question. But having said that, let's say it's anger. You can then say, hey, John, what's going on? You seem angry to me. And then let John say whatever it is that John says. Now, you don't argue with John because you just want to find out where John's coming from. So that is how you would deal with that situation. Instead of getting angry back, which is what we automatically want to do, you say to yourself, wait a minute, I don't know what's going on here. I need to find out. I need more information. Because if you get angry, now what you're saying is your emotions are telling you, I see John as a threat. Well, John may or may not be a threat. Remember, this is the best he can do. This is the best he can do in that situation. So if now you approach your family from the position of, I want to understand, that will help you get along with them better. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh. Okay, so he's sending a follow-up with Tony based off of that. So he said what he means by emotions is when his family are upset, they seem to just automatically go straight for the Hulk, throwing things, cursing, hitting doors, and it seems like everyone, including his grandmother, has the same reaction. And he seems to be the most calmest one because they all attack him on that level, and he never attacks back on their level.
Okay, 2 things.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell. 2 things,
Sorry,
Samuel. What you may have to do is you may have to leave the room. If you've got 5 Hulks coming at you, the best safety thing for you is to leave the room.
Absolutely.
Not to attack back. And then come back at it later on when they've calmed down and say, hey, you know what happened in there? What was going on that you went Hulk on me?
Yeah.
I want to understand. And if you come at them later, once they've calmed down, from a level of understanding, not a level of attacking or accusing, but a level of understanding. You'll diffuse them. Now, let me give you something else, Samuel, that you might find very interesting. When somebody is yelling, the best thing you can do is to whisper. And here's why. When they're attacking you and yelling at you, now I don't know if this will work with 5 people at the same time. You may have to do it one-on-one. You can experiment with it. But when they're yelling at you, they're expecting you to yell back at them. And when you do, now it escalates. You yell, they yell louder, and so forth. The best thing for you is to whisper. You can say in a whispery voice what's going on, but whisper it. And what's going to happen is they're going to have to stop yelling at you because they want to hear what you have to say in order for them to yell back at you. And when they lower their voice, now you can say in a regular tone of voice what's happening here.
Absolutely.
So yeah, when they yell, you whisper.
When they yell, we whisper. There we go. And I had to say we because I had to learn. I've had that too. And honestly, I'm glad that Samuel brought that up because it just sparked my memory. I was wondering when I was drinking my coffee this morning, I was like, why do I feel agitated? And I'm like, I woke up in the harmony of just closing my eyes and thanking the Creator for breath to breathe. And I'm like, oh, I looked at my phone and there was a call that came in at 3-something in the morning that woke me up. From one of my friends from the reservation. I call him a friend because he doesn't act like a cousin. From the reservation, and he was just calling me just to have a little attitude with, some things that we had talked about before he went to a church meeting the night before. And I was sitting there, I'm like, whoa, you called me at 3-something in the morning to express your feelings. And I just remember he was antagonizing me, and I was like completely drunk sleep. And I just remember him saying, okay, well, have a good night, click. And for some reason, I went right back to sleep. I woke up and I was like, man, he was yelling and just being all argumentative, Hulk style argumentative. Okay, Samuel. And it got to my point. I mean, I didn't get to that emotion to deal with until right now. So that was actually really refreshing because I'm like, why did I feel really irritated when I woke up? And I just remembered it right now. I got it at my sleep interrupted with a family member who had a Hulk attitude. And they decided to call me in the middle of the night and tell me how they felt about it for 4 minutes and 58 seconds. So that's what happened. But it's good to assess that. And we should not be, like Dr. Daube was saying, if you see that happening, whether your dad's jumping in, your mom, your sister, your grandma, look, you have to remove yourself from the situation as respectfully as possible. I know some people get upset even more if a person wants to remove themselves, but let's, kind of do your thing and be like, okay, all right, and use the whisper. I mean, that's the truth. When I'm like, okay, I don't know why you're upset. Okay, but what happened? When I calm myself down, like you were saying, Dr. Daube, it definitely helped the situation completely change its whole dynamic. And I didn't have all that backlash right away.
Yeah, let me give you another tip, and this will also help Samuel. Let me give you the difference between why and what. Most people will ask the question, why are you doing this? Why are you upset? Parents will ask their kids, why are you angry? Or why did you do that? It's a very dangerous question, and here's the reason for that. Most behavior is multi-determined, meaning it's caused by a whole bunch of different factors. And when you ask why, the other person isn't quite sure how to answer that. So instead of asking, why are you angry, you ask what. What are you angry about? And that's the information you really want to have. What did you intend to accomplish by that? What was going on? And it's a question that most people will be able to answer. Not everybody, because not everybody is in tune with what's going on. But if you ask why, it can be confusing. So you ask what. What are you upset about? What's happening? What's going on? What are you thinking? What would you like to have happen here? It's a very different question. And it's a question that will get you the information that you're seeking. Why won't always get you to that question, to that answer.
Wow. Yeah. What? I noticed when I was using more of the what, what are you so mad about? Why are you upset? Yeah, it did help a lot with why are you pissed off? Why are you mad? It was, what are you so upset about? What made you feel like this and brought you to this place? And I had a lot of gentlemen now, and I have I call it the hearts movement that we're doing, but they'll write in, or some of them will email in and say, you know what, Lex, I got a chance to really look at how did I get myself there and what thoughts were going through my head and for what reason. I'm like, wow, they really broke it down to where they were scientifically taking that time to get those things going on. Okay, I was upset. And nowadays, too, I have to understand, I understand, a lot of people have to understand, too, I still have to look at two fine lines because we do have, social media, just YouTube videos, TV shows, whatever it is, to distract some of those and suppress them. So a lot of us, and I've had feedbacks where people say, I was upset the moment the movie got off. I was like, okay, but then I got angry again. And I'm like, because we kind of suppressed them in a very, happy or non-toxic way, happy movie or crazy action movie, whatever it might be, it was still sitting there underneath the surface ready to come out. Just because you put antibiotics on a very deep infectious wound does not mean it's going, it might clear off the germs on the surface, but underneath you still have the infection happening. I mean, that's the truth. I started looking at that, like the pus, all that stuff. I know it sounds gross, but all this stuff happening is right underneath the surface, and that's where it comes out. You can't see things happening until sometimes it's right in front of your face, whereas that happens. Yeah.
Right. And see, there's another concept, and I don't talk about this in my books, but I do talk about it on my blog, theemotionsdoctor.com, and it's called mindfulness. And that's being in the moment. It's not, a lot of people think of mindfulness, meditation, and all that. That's not what I'm referring to. What I'm referring to is being in the moment, because sometimes if you've got issues from the past that you're still struggling with, then that may lead you to perceive somebody else's actions as a threat when it really isn't, because you're not perceiving them for who they are in the moment. I'm not saying this is always going on, but it's something to be aware of. So if for Samuel, if Samuel was holding on to stuff from the past, thinking, well, every time John opens up his damn mouth, he goes ballistic on me. So now John goes to say something, and his voice is a little bit elevated because he's excited or whatever. And Samuel, and I'm not saying you're doing this, Samuel, but I'm saying it's something to look at. Are you coming into that situation already prepared to go to battle because of what's happened in the past? If you are, that's not being mindful. It's not being in the moment. So the first thing you want to say is, I need to be in the moment. I need to look at what's actually going on here. Then everything else that we said earlier can now come to play.
Wow. That's really deep. Wow. Okay, let me take that note. Let me get my goodies, people. I got goodies coming over here from Dr. Daube. Look, I'm not going to let that pass me by. All right, this is stuff to assess, and this is real homework. This is real inner self mental homework. This is stuff you can pass along. This is like the gold diamond mine. And that's why I have to tell people all the time, like, it's a whole different, why are you such a sponge? And I tell them, like, knowledge doesn't do you anything if it's not the right knowledge and it's not applied in the right areas. It definitely helps. You could learn everything, but this helps exactly with the mission I'm on every day. But that, dang, wow. Samuel, you got the whole cookie jar. Stop. We didn't even bring the milk out, Dr. Daube.
All right.
We didn't bring that, but you know what? That's good. Okay, so I guess he gave Tony a thumbs up emoji. Cool. All right. Well, you know what, Sam? You just keep hanging on in there. Don't forget we got, different things coming up. But we're going to get to the next one. And that is our wonderful family and Ruth. Oh, well, thank you, Ruth. She's been tuning in for the last several months. Well, we thank you either way. And she goes, hello, Dr. Daube. I wanted to know, she's from New York. Okay. Shout out to New York. And she wanted to say, what if it's a work environment that is, sorry. Tony didn't put that right. Say it right. Okay. So she's saying basically, what if it's the environment of work that people are, so the people in charge at work are the ones with anger problems. So she feels like she's in jeopardy of losing her position, which she really loves her job of 15 years, because she cannot help, or every time she tries to help her, what do you call that, superiors? I don't like using that name, but her managers and so forth, they kind of freak out on her, and therefore it's a spiral effect for her when she leaves work. Wow, that's a lot of, to deal with that with your income source, that's not cool.
That's not cool at all. Great question, Ruth. Let me give you a little background. A couple of years ago, I went on to a LinkedIn forum for women, and I very clearly said, look, I'm a man, and I'm just here because I want to ask this question. What happens to you when you express appropriate anger in a work setting? I got back 2,000 responses, and basically the gist of these responses was, I, as a woman, cannot express anger because when I do, they call me the B word, they put me down, they say I'm hormonal, all that kind of stuff. So the men in the work setting were not able to deal with the appropriate anger expressed by a woman. And here's what I suggested. There's two things going on with anger. First, you need to understand about anger, as I said, that you perceive a threat. And in the case you described, the threat is probably real. There are what are called display roles. And display rules for women say you can't get angry because whatever reason. That's a display rule. However, you can still use the energy of your anger to make a plan to deal with a situation that you're facing. And here's how you do that. Let me see if I can clear it up for you. You take a management approach to it, as if you were dealing with a project at work. Your boss gives you a project. You need to have a paper out, or you need to have this done by such and such a time. What do? Well, you sit down, you say, this is the task I have to do. These are the timelines. These are the resources that I need. And you lay all that out. So now you take on your superior as a project. And I'm assuming you have to work with these people. So now you look at them and you say, okay, what's going on? Remember, they're doing the best they can, given their model of the world and their skill sets. So if somebody is expressing anger to you, what does he see going on? And you may say to them, John, what is it that you want from me? What is it that I need to do here? You seem to be upset with me for some reason. Again, you're not blaming, or it seems to me as I'm looking at you that have I done something wrong? Now, you can also apologize, but let me explain something about an apology. You don't have to apologize, because women tend to apologize too much. At least that's what the literature suggests. And I don't want you to do that. When you apologize, you can say, look, I apologize if I've done something wrong. Please explain to me. You're not saying you did something wrong, so you're not apologizing for having taken the wrong action, because you may not have. You're apologizing for any possible misunderstanding of what you may have done. And you can do this for each person that you have to deal with. What is the emotion they're expressing? What's going on? What is their model of the world? What do they see happening here? How do they understand me in this context? Do they not know how to deal with me? That's a skill set issue. Do I need to ignore the anger and possibly focus on the project at hand? That is, whatever it is that you and your boss are discussing. But you always remember that your anger is very appropriate. You're just changing how you display your anger and how you use the energy of the anger. Don't put down your own anger. You're entitled to that. But then approach each individual in terms of what you need to do with them to help them deal more effectively with you. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. That makes perfect sense. I like that, too. I mean, it's a good motto. All right, so, okay. So she's saying the thumbs up. She says she works with them. Ruth works with them minimal of 5 days a week, and they're about 9-hour shifts. So that's pretty, I spent a lot of time with them. That's a lot of time to deal with someone. Okay, so the other one, her follow-up sequence from that Tony just sent over is when she's basically trying to assess what the problem is. It seems though they want to let her know that she's going to be potentially losing her position, because she hasn't lost it yet, her position if she makes them angry anymore. So she kind of just keeps quiet and goes in her little work corner. And that's almost like a work abuse almost, because if you feel like you can't even, breathe or peep or say anything, and you have to kind of cower, that's not, I'm sorry, Ruth, that's not healthy. That should be a lot to deal with, where you can't even express to them, hey, did I do something wrong? Or hey, can I help with something? And they kind of lash out. There really should be reported. I'm just saying, hashtag, tell them to come look me up if they want to say who said it. Alexa's saying they should be reported for that, because you should not, if you want to do it discreetly, if you want help with that, let us know. But at the same time, no, that's not okay to fear being at home, having a life of what you have to deal with, and being scared scared of your work environment. It's scary. That is scary.
It is. And if it approaches that, then she needs to take other action to deal with that work setting. And there's no good answer for that other than what you said, Lex, to maybe help her work some kind of complaint or whatever it happens to be.
What you said was perfect. I just was that's what we just found out. What Dr. Daube was saying definitely applies to a lot. Probably 90%, if not more, of what's going on for the questions having. But from her giving us more of that information of saying, wow, 9 hours, you have to literally cower from this person for several hours a day, is kind of well, either that's something really deeply rooted, as well as in yourself, because it takes a lot to kind of get to that conditionary state from past regressions, different things that happen, to where you feel from she said female and male managers, that you can't speak your mind, and you kind of, I don't know what that's about, but that's very deep. Very deep. Yeah.
It is. And she needs to, and Ruth, what you need to do is remember, don't take on their emotions. Emotions can be contagious. Don't take on their emotion. Understand that this is their issue. Now, you have to deal with it, as we talked about, but this is the best they can do in the situation. And if you're looking at it, you can look at them in your mind and you can say, you know what, you're not very good at what you do.
Yeah.
And your anger's in trouble. Now, you don't say this.
Boy, I'm backing you up here. Yep, that's right.
Right. But in your mind, this is how you can look at them. And then what you do is you change your anger to pity.
Uh-huh.
Pity is an emotion which none of us like to have directed towards us, because it tends to put us down. When somebody pities us, they're basically saying they think they're better than we are.
Uh-huh.
And in this particular case, you may be. So what you feel toward them is pity, meaning, you poor little kid, you're showing this anger, it's not appropriate. And when you pity them, that will enable you to lower your own arousal from your own anger, and to see in the moment that they're not being appropriate. And in your particular case, you can remain calm in their presence and do the other things that we suggested. If you have a chance later on, you can say to them, hey, what was going on? What do I need to change? I really like my job. I really want to stay in this work setting, and I just don't understand what it is I need to do to improve.
Wow.
But you don't do that when they're angry.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you feel pity towards them, you won't get upset with them.
Yeah. And especially to be there for 15 years, she said? I think that's a long time to deal with it. Okay, so the management's been there for 7 years. Okay, so, almost half your time that you've been there, and they basically got like that after the first 6 months of being settled in. That's something they have to deal with too, or maybe their superiors are doing something to where they feel comfortable enough to display that manner, or mimicking what the mannerism they have, or something going on at home to where they don't feel like they have the authority to bully somebody. I'm just saying. I've dealt with situations like that where people really, really feel above someone to come and just be angry at work and just take out all their frustrations from home, and it was a complete mayhem situation. So, yeah, Ruth, we thank you for that. And just let us know as well if you need any help with getting us together. Any kind of sound measurement for anything let us know. Dr. Daube as well will have his information up on the blog permanently when this rolls out with whatever's going on and before that. So we have our next wonderful RDDC family. And this is, it's kind of cute. I have this problem too, Jessica. Don't worry. So this is Jessica calling from Dublin, or coming in from Dublin. So shout out to Dublin. I can't wait to visit there one day. And she goes, hello, Lex and Dr. Daube. Hi. Hello from Dublin. Hopefully we'll come over and have a cup of tea. I would love to come over there and just say what's going on. My friends were waiting. So she goes, what if your emotions are turning into habits that you seem to enjoy, i.e., I love chocolate bars and munching, and everyone tells me it's a bad habit, but it helps me soothe my emotions. That's pretty good. Very, very cool. Okay. I have that problem too lately. I'm not a chocolate lover, Dr. Daube, but I seem to go get Hershey's bars and nibble on them, or I'll have something I'm nibbling on, and I'm like, why am I doing this? And then I realize I was upset about something. So, Jessica, thank you for Tony had to give a little green light on that one. Thank you for saying that, so Dr. Daube can kind of give us some insights on that. So
yeah, that's a complicated question.
She's enjoying her habits, so she's enjoying the habits. She wants to know. Maybe she wants clarification. Can she just have like a guilty pleasure? That's what it sounds like to me. A guilty pleasure.
Well, yeah, as long as there aren't challenges with eating too much chocolate.
Yeah.
If you eat too much chocolate and you put on weight, that's another issue.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the rest of it. Okay, so Tony just sent that over. She just put, i.e., gained 10 pounds in 9 months. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So eating chocolate is not a healthy way to deal with anxiety.
No. I'm not that guilty. I'm guilty a little bit, but come on. Yeah, I know. I got you.
Here's the thing with habits. The reason why we have habits is because they help us to efficiently use our time. And the example of a positive habit is, for example, I don't know, if I'm bald now, so this doesn't apply to me, but when I had hair, I would get into the shower and I would put on my shampoo, and later on I couldn't remember if I had put on shampoo or not because I did it habitually. It became automatic. And that's okay if it deals with shampoo. It's not okay if I'm driving to work and I don't remember what route I took to get there because I was driving on automatic.
Yeah, very true.
Okay? It also isn't good if I'm eating chocolate automatically whenever I get anxious.
Yeah.
Because that, again, has other issues. Now, if it's anxiety, the way to deal with anxiety, as I mentioned before, the message of anxiety is there is a future possible threat. When you feel anxious, Jessica, you need to ask yourself, before you go to eat the chocolate, and I need to put a preference here, a preface by saying, it's going to take time to break that habit.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? Like, Tony, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but Tony, can you just ask her, she wants to update, just ask her what does she feel kind of triggers her to kind of do that? If she can catch it. Yeah, because I was wondering about that, Dr. Daube. I was like, I want to know, because I could say for myself, but I don't want to, obviously project that on her, but okay, so she has a couple chocolate bars and a couple bag of crisps. I think they call them crisps, right? Crisps? Okay, chips is what we call them, crisps. I can say it right. She has that. So she said within a day, within 24 hours, she can have maybe about 6 chocolate bars and 2 bags of crisps. And she noticed it comes on more so if her mother's calling because her dad is ill, or if she has someone from the past kind of call. She's almost anticipating them to call and like be rude or mean to her. So basically, like you said, anxiety or fear of something potentially happening to that point. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so then the way to deal with anxiety as a future threat is to prepare for that possible threat. If she knows mom's going to call and it has to deal with dad, then she needs to take a deep breath before she picks up the phone to mom or before she starts to engage with mom, and needs to say, okay, I need to stay calm and find out what's going on with dad. Because if she's anxious, she's not going to be able to deal with mom and dad anyway. She's going to be so nervous, she's not going to be thinking straight.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because when Tony, the additional message from that is she said she sees the wrappers once she's finished. So therefore, I believe Dr. Daube, she's saying in the moment of it happening, she could have a little nibble here and there. But once it does happen, especially for her family, she actually doesn't even know, quote, i.e., quote, that she has all those wrappers sitting by her. So she's nibbling away while her mother's on the phone. Wow. Yes. Okay. All right.
So she needs to take the crisp, and she needs to take the chocolate, and she needs to either get rid of it or put it in her drawer, put it away, and not let herself do that.
Yeah.
And when she does this, she's going to feel even more anxious because now you've taken away her security blanket.
Yeah.
Now, Jessica, we've taken away your security blanket, so if it's not there, you're going to think, oh, I'm really nervous, and I can't deal with it, and your tendency is going to go into an anxiety spin, at which point you need to begin to practice and think ahead of time. Think before the phone call, think when my mom calls, I'm going to take a deep breath first before I do anything. I'm going to remind myself to continually stay in the moment. She can even write out on a pad of paper, stay in the moment, take a deep breath, and look at that as she's on the phone with mom or before she even answers the phone.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect. Okay, well, we'll just take this because we do have, no, we do. We can have the rest of her question. So she was saying I guess she just passed over, if she has a healthier choice, like carrots and dip, is that any better for her nibbling, or she should just stop the nibbling altogether for preparation?
Oh, no, if she can use carrots as kind of a bridge to get her past needing to eat.
Oh, good.
Then she can do that. She can use carrots as a bridge. Carrots don't have as many calories in it, but still she needs to deal with this psychologically. And the carrots may be a bridge to help her do that. Eventually, once the psychological stuff kicks in, she can get rid of the carrots.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true. Because if it's not that, then it'll be something else. And I'm just going to say, it'll be your friends wanting to go have a glass of wine. Then it'll be something else, like, a dependency, basically. So it's like if you have a kid getting off of a pacifier, a lot of parents have that problem too. Like, okay, it's pacifying me. Because I'm just saying, like, I'm not really a huge chocolate fan. Mine is more of a drinking smoothies or drinking, I used to be diet soda, now I just drink a little Gatorade and water. But at the same time, like, if you have that to where you can go through 6 chocolate bars, and I'm not judging you, Jessica, don't get me wrong. I'm like, 6 chocolate bars and a couple bag of crisps, and you're still, feeling that. If your mom called 3 times in a day, I mean, that would be 612. I mean, that's a lot of stuff. And you have to think about what it's doing to the impact of you and your sugar and your brains, because you're also you're getting that. And you're going to remember your mother and them triggered off by that too, because it's not going to be, oh, mom's on the phone. It's going to be like, oh, where's my chocolate bars and my crisp? Mom's on the phone. You're going to be like, whoa, you programmed yourself and your body's programmed your mind now to say, when my family calls, I need something to pacify me. And that's what Dr. Daube's saying as well.
Exactly.
Extend it off. Yeah, you got to let it be the bridge. The carrots and ranch, hey, celery and some good peanut butter. Whatever you want to do for a little healthier snack, maybe it'll trigger your mind off not to remember all the chips and think about this, Dr. Daube. I'm thinking we always go for like a feel-good mechanism with high calories and high sugar and fat content. Is there some kind of connection between why we will kind of reach for something that's more on the quote bad side than it is us getting a big bowl of tomatoes or salad or like I thought about that just now. Like, is there something why we feel comforted with fats and sweets versus that from our emotions?
Well, I don't know how to answer that because I'm a psychologist, not a physician. But having said that, what Jessica needs to understand is the carrots are a bridge. They're not a substitute.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that just came in my mind. Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, we can't give you... I could give you nutritional meals, but I can't give you nutritional guidance. But I thought about it in my head. I'm like, why is it to the point of where we want to be able to be around something that do with fats and sweets? But it's okay. So, Jessica, we hope that helps with that. And we have our wonderful... What is this? Neil. Hello, Neil, and you are calling from where I was just at, and Doctor knows about that. That's California. Yay, California. Ooh, I wish I knew where it was California. Ask him where it is in California. Okay, so California. So Neil says, hello, RDC, and Dr. Daube. Hello, Neil. Okay.
Hello,
Neil? Neil. We love you. Okay, this says, why aren't we programmed to be taught this, to deal with life and emotions while we're in school and growing up? And can we still have a better impact as adults to deal with our emotions since we're really not taught by childhood? Okay.
Well, why our schools haven't done more of this, I don't know. Our schools tend to not be psychologically minded. They tend to focus on whatever the subject is they're studying. And emotions are often very much understood, certainly in our culture. So why they're not more emphasized, I wish they were. That's why I wrote my 2 books. But having said that, yes, as an adult, you can learn to change. Yeah. Think about it this way. The first time I got a cell phone, all I did was use it to answer calls, which is a waste of a cell phone.
Yeah, it is.
But having said that, now I use it for more things because it's just a tool. I learned how to use it. I don't have to call my kids on the phone and say, hey, come over and program my remote anymore because I learned how to do that. So if you understand that emotions are just tools, you very much can learn to do that. And you can learn from my books. That's fine. If you want to go out and buy the book, great. If you don't right now, go to my blog, theemotionsdoctor.com. There's a whole bunch of information there, and it's all free. And what you want to do is you want to go to the upper right-hand corner of the homepage, where there's an index tab, and you press on that index tab, it'll take you to a PDF. Open that PDF up, and it'll give you all of my articles by title, by category, and by date. So you can learn to use your emotions as tools, and the information's there, and then you can teach others. But yes, Neil, you can, as an adult, learn to do that, and I fully recommend that you should.
Yeah.
And as far as the education system is concerned, I wish it would change, but who knows?
Yeah, maybe from the spark of everything happening, it will. Is there anything that you want to add on, to tell anybody before we kind of wrap up our show, Dr. Daube?
Other than, I think I've enjoyed the process. I hope the answers that I had were helpful.
They're perfect.
I recommend that people go to the blog. My books are available on Amazon. If they want to go that way, that's also good. But start with the blog, and if the information there doesn't help you, then go to the books and get the most out of it that you can. Remember, most importantly, your emotions are just tools. They may hurt. They may be unclear to you what's going on. They're just tools. Once you understand the message of the tool, you then can learn how to use that emotion as a tool to make your life better in your relationships. Other than that, I think we pretty much covered it.
That was amazing, though. I mean, like, I don't see how anybody couldn't get more information from even going to the blog or going to the book itself, because it makes me want to dive a lot deeper, because these are things that we all have to deal with, everyone, every single time. And it's something to kind of get yourself on track, all the things that are happening. And if you feel like that's something you need to do, all the questions or whatever else is going on, that is a great way to start. And that is the emotionsdoctor.com, and as well as Dr. Daube. That's Ed Daube. Okay, that's Doc over here. I'm just saying, he is out here, making sure he can let people know emotions are a tool. And we will have his personal dedicated page on the Blogspot. You can check out and all the things going on with that over at realdoubledosechannel.blogspot.com, and we'll be transitioning that over as well to be on the shows and all the previous things going on to our new YouTube channel. So you can check out those links directly in the bio and just kind of get some info and see his books posted up on there with the links. So you can just click right over if you don't want to go there yourself, but you still could check that out on Amazon right now. His 2 books that are out. So the 2 books that we have going on here. Oh my God, I love it. It's so beautiful. Okay, so we have all the books that deal with the emotional as a tool, and as well as, isn't it anger, right? The dealing with the anger.
It's Beyond Anger Mastery.
Yeah.
Or Beyond Anger Management, excuse me. Beyond Anger Management, Master Your Anger as a Strategic Tool. And the first book, Emotions as Tools, a self-help guide to controlling your life, not your feelings. And they're both available on Amazon. You can go there and put those titles in, or you can look up Ed Daube, Daube, Ph.D.
I love it. You see how he said it so much more streamlined than me? You saw. I tried to. I was trying to say it. I'm like, I have the book image in my head because I can't wait to read it, but I could not get it down. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just, okay, I'm getting better. We're a work in progress. So Dr. Daube, we all overly appreciate you. We're getting so much feedback now. Everyone's saying thank you in the chat. Or whatever that I call it chat. Tony calls it the live, but the live saying thank you so much for clarity. And again, everyone check out that beautiful, theemotionsdoctor.com, because we all need to get some. That's something we have to do. So remember to go to Real Double Dose channel at yandex.com with all your inquiries that we have had in the past and still present. And that's at yandex.com, and as well as realdoubledosechannel.blogspot.com. And your downloadable episodes will be available when Tony gets that itinerary a little bit more tight knit and he's rolling it out. Don't worry, be patient. And until then, you still can check out what Dr. Daube has to offer and all the insights. So thank you for being here with us. Thank you for sharing and clarifying with us and answering these wonderful questions from the new and other audiences. And we appreciate you very much, Dr. Daube.
My pleasure. And let me just say, that's TheEmotions, the Emotions Doctor.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, let's do that. The TheEmotions Doctor, DOCTOR.com. Come get some. Yes, just in case, because we know some people out there are like, well, how is it spelled? Is there a certain way it's, everyone has their little punctuations and hyphenations now. So you're right, Dr. Daube, you're right. You're right upon that. So remember, everyone, to be the change, feel the passion, embrace the power of that spirit, get some tools to work on yourself and better yourself and help your life out so you don't become the tool and start running your emotions as the tool as you please and move forward. We love you. You're amazing. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back with you very, very, very soon.